Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something pretty unique, I think. We're blending ancient spiritual wisdom, specifically from the Murli teachings, with, well, modern science.
That's right. We're talking neuroscience, physics, even cosmic cycles.
Exactly. Our sources really lay out a kind of scientific and spiritual take on mind-energy alignment and what's called the divine order of the drama.
And the aim here really is to give you a sort of shortcut to understanding the actual mechanics behind spiritual transformation. It's not just belief, it's framed as engineering.
Yeah, like the core idea we're digging into is that spiritual practice is fundamentally about rewiring the brain.
Mm.
And our main source material, dated October 21st, 2025, puts it very bluntly. The one who talks with God every morning rewires his destiny with light.
And that's our jumping off point. We're going to treat that light, that talking, as measurable energy systems. We'll look at the specific vibrational and neuroscientific links the sources talk about.
Moving beyond just faith into frequency, coherence, that kind of thing.
Exactly, into the language of energy.
Okay, let's dive in. Part 1. The neuroscience of early morning alignment. So the core practice is Amrit Vela, right? Early morning communication.
Yes.
The source says, Arn con 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 con. Wake up early, have sweet chats. Why so early? Why not, lunchtime?
Oh, the timing is actually critical, and there's a solid scientific reason given. The window they specify is generally between 4 and 6 a.m.
Okay.
And the reason is that during this time, our brain's natural electrical activity shifts. It becomes dominated by theta waves, which oscillate at 4 to 8 hertz.
Theta waves. I associate this with deep relaxation, right? Like that state just before sleep or just after waking?
Exactly. But crucially, it's not sleep. It's described as the subconscious receptive stage.
It's subconscious receptive. Okay.
Think of it like trying to install new software on your computer. You wouldn't do it with 10 other heavy programs running, would you?
No, it'd probably crash. Or just be really slow.
Right. Theta waves quiet down the busy, analytical conscious mind, the part that often creates noise, resistance, maybe skepticism.
So it's like putting the brain in update mode.
That's a great analogy. It becomes highly efficient at absorbing and integrating these new high-frequency spiritual vibrations or ideas, embedding them deeper.
Makes sense.
And that's why the sources say this is the prime time for Vishar Sagar Manthan, that deep reflection. Spiritually, they call this period the Brahma Muhurta and suggest it enables a direct telepathic link.
Okay, so if this sweet talk is really about tuning your mental frequency, what does the brain actually do when someone connects to this supreme light they talk about?
Well, the sources correlate this connection, when it's done with focus and purity, with a very specific brain state. The brain starts emitting highly organized synchronous waves called coherent gamma frequencies.
Gamma? That's much faster, isn't it?
Yes, typically around 40 hertz or higher. And the key word is coherent. This state is what modern neuroscience calls neural synchrony.
Neural synchrony. For those of us not wearing lab coats, what does that feel like or mean?
Right. It basically means different parts of your brain are firing together in perfect harmony, like a well-conducted orchestra.
It
leads to maximum processing power, insight, clarity, peak mental function, essentially.
Yeah.
So the spiritual instruction is also effectively an instruction for generating peak brain coherence.
Wow, okay. That's the micro level. Now let's zoom out quite a bit. Part 2, cosmic law and the drama theory. The source draws a line between how a traditional devotee sees God and how this knowledge path sees God. What's the difference?
It's a really fundamental distinction. The devotee perspective often involves, an emotional dependence on a god seen as all-powerful in an external sense.
Like God can intervene, change the rules.
Exactly. Break laws of nature, grant favors based on prayer or devotion alone. The path of knowledge, however, presents God as operating within a fixed system called the law of drama, or cosmic law.
Wait, operating within the law, that implies boundaries, doesn't it?
It does.
The source describes the universe, the drama, as a perfect self-regulated energy system. If God is in that system, not outside it, what does Sarvashaktiman Omnipotent actually mean here?
It shifts the meaning. Omnipotence isn't about arbitrary power to break the system's rules. It's defined as operating at the absolute highest frequency within that system, the frequency of pure knowledge and purity.
Okay.
This supreme frequency gives God the unique spiritual energy transmission power to grant liberation or sadgati and elevate souls, but always by working through the laws of the drama, not by overriding them. God is also bound by the drama's structure.
And that structure, the drama, it's described as anadi bana banaya, eternally pre-created and repeating exactly hu ba hu.
Yes, precisely the same each cycle.
A 5,000-year cosmic movie that just loops with not a single scene out of place? That sounds incredibly deterministic. Like, where's the room for free will or effort if it's all preset?
That's the big paradox, isn't it? And it's where the sources bring in some interesting scientific parallels. They correlate this idea of an eternally repeating prescripted cycle with concepts like the holographic universe theory or even the simulation hypothesis.
Theories that suggest reality might be fundamentally different than it appears, maybe even informational or projected.
Right. The structure is fixed, the cycle repeats, but, and this is the crucial but, the source insists that your conscious effort to transform your inner state, your frequency, is what determines your experience and your status within that repeating loop.
So the plot is set, but my inner state dictates whether I experience my role in that plot as joyful or painful, like heaven or hell within the same scene.
You could put it that way, yes. Which brings us neatly to part 3, the neuroscience of transformation. The spiritual instruction sounds simple. Remember me, and your negative actions, vikarm vanish, will dissolve. What's the science claim here?
How does remembering destroy past negativity?
This gets right into the mind-body connection. That deep remembrance or focused meditation on the divine source is said to physically change brain activity and even structure.
How so?
When you connect to that described high frequency of purity and knowledge, the first thing that happens is a calming effect on the amygdala.
The fear center. The fight or flight trigger.
Exactly. You're basically turning down the volume on anxiety, reactivity, old fear patterns.
Okay, that makes sense.
And at the same time, you're activating and strengthening the prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's CEO, responsible for rational thought, planning, impulse control, higher awareness.
So shifting from reactive mode to responsive, conscious mode.
Precisely. This sustained high-frequency focus, which they link to alpha-gamma synchronization in brainwaves, is described as literally shifting the soul's energy state from tamapradhan low, inert, heavy energy to setapradhan high, pure, light energy.
And the source links Vichar Sagarmanthan, that deep thinking on spiritual points, to something called synaptic reorganization. How does thinking change brain wiring?
Well, when you dedicate real, focused mental energy to understanding these deep concepts like the soul, the cycle, the laws, you're not just passively receiving information, you're actively building.
Building what?
Neural pathways. You're increasing neural connectivity related to those concepts. You're literally forging new connections between neurons, strengthening circuits aligned with those pure, powerful thoughts. That is synaptic reorganization.
Like consciously designing the pathways in your own brain.
In essence, yes. You're building the neural architecture for a higher state of consciousness.
Sure.
Spiritually, this is sometimes linked to activating the third eye of understanding.
And this relates to purification, the idea of deepawali, or inner cleansing.
Correctly. To get rid of old, negative patterns, vikarma sanskar, the brain needs to do more than just build new pathways. It also needs to dismantle the old ones. This is neural pruning.
Pruning, like cutting away dead branches.
Exactly. The brain physically weakens or disconnects the neural circuits associated with those outdated negative habits and thoughts. This pruning makes space for the new, positive sanskars, the stronger, healthier circuits, to flourish.
It really does sound like a very active, disciplined form of neurohacking, like you said.
It's presented that way, yes, as a science.
Okay, let's take this to the practical level. Part 4, vibrational purity and collective consciousness. How does my personal internal state, my purity, affect anything outside of me?
Purity here isn't just about, say, celibacy. It's framed as a whole, virtuous Shrestacharya lifestyle. This includes sattvic purity and lightness in your food, your thoughts, your interactions, your overall conduct.
A holistic approach.
Very much so. And the claim is that living this way actually stabilizes your individual electromagnetic field.
Okay, electromagnetic field sounds a bit...
Oh, maybe.
Peachy. Is there a scientific correlate for that?
There is, actually. The source links this stability to measurable increases in heart coherence.
Heart coherence.
Yes. Institutes like HeartMath have done a lot of research showing that positive emotional states associated with peace, gratitude, compassion hallmarks of this virtuous lifestyle cause the heart's rhythm to become smooth and sine wave-like, rather than chaotic and jagged.
And this coherent heart rhythm does what?
It's demonstrably linked to better immune function, lower stress hormones, greater emotional resilience, and a profound sense of inner peace and stability. your internal system becomes more ordered, more harmonious.
Okay, so individual coherence makes sense, but what about the bigger picture? The shift from narc, hell, to swarg, heaven. If we stick to science, heaven can't be a place up in the clouds,
No,
right?
no, the source is clear. Swarg, heaven, isn't a postcode. It's described as a state of collective high-frequency consciousness.
Collective, how does that work?
The idea is that when enough individuals achieve and sustain this high state of inner purity, selflessness, and soul awareness, their combined coherent energy fields influence the Earth's overall electromagnetic field.
Like tuning the planet.
In a way, yes. It's described as shifting the planetary field into Golden Age field resonance. It's an energetic upgrade for the whole world, driven by the collective consciousness reaching a tipping point to purity.
That places immense responsibility on individual transformation.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, another intriguing idea is dissolving negative patterns, Afghan, by sustaining the satisfaction frequency. How can just feeling satisfied get rid of bad habits?
It operates through what could be called the law of energy substitution. You don't really fight the darkness, the negativity, head-on.
You don't.
Not directly. Instead, you focus intensely on cultivating and sustaining the light, that feeling of spiritual satisfaction, of completeness, of needing nothing external. When you hold that high frequency strongly enough,
Yes.
the lower frequency patterns like guilt, anger, craving simply can't coexist in the same space. They dissolve naturally because they're vibrationally incompatible. It's like turning up the light makes the shadows disappear.
Yeah.
You didn't attack the shadows, you just increased the light.
An energetic replacement, not a battle. I like that. And this energy isn't just internal, right? The source mentions a thought energy experiment.
Ah, yes, the power of Mansa, or sending a pure thought or intention.
What's the claim there?
It references findings, often associated with heart math again, suggesting that the electromagnetic field generated by the heart and amplified by coherent brain activity during focused intention can actually be measured several feet away from the body.
Up to 8 feet, the source mentions.
Right. So when you consciously send a peace thought or a pure wish, Shodha Bhavana, to someone, you're not just thinking nice thoughts. You are potentially projecting a measurable field of coherent energy that can influence the energetic environment of that interaction.
And that's how it's claimed to transform difficult relationships, karmic knots, into sweet relationships by shifting the underlying energy field.
That's the mechanism described, yes.
Yeah.
Conscious energetic influence through pure intention.
It really frames spiritual practice as incredibly active, disciplined work. Okay, let's bring it all together. Part 5, daily dharana and conclusion. For someone listening who thinks, okay, I get the theory, how do I actually do this neuroengineering? What are the non-negotiables?
The source material boils it down to a few core daily practices, the dharana. First, early morning thought tuning, that 4 a.m. wake-up call we discussed, for focused, sweet conversation with the source, the supreme light.
Tuning the instrument first thing. Got it.
Second, daily Vichar Sagar Manthan, taking one specific spiritual point or concept each day and really chewing on it, thinking deeply, reflecting. That's the active neural pathway building.
Makes sense. What about the physical side?
Third, vibrational food. This means maintaining awareness and pure thoughts while preparing and eating food. Holding the thought perhaps, Baba, this is for you, or simply staying in a state of peaceful remembrance. It's about charging your physical fuel with high frequency.
Okay. And the fourth?
Finally, the Shuddhavana practice. Actively practice sending those pure wishes. May this soul be peaceful. May they receive power to others you encounter, mentally or visually. Actively using that projecting power we talked about.
Right. Exercising that 8-foot field.
You could say that.
So if we had to distill this whole complex deep dive down to its absolute scientific essence, according to the source, what's the one-liner?
It comes down to this. Focused remembrance of the divine equals intentional rewiring of the brain equals the natural restoration of the soul's original power.
Or as the source puts it,
Smriti se mastisk sutarta hai, or Atma Shakti se far jati hai. Remembering purifies the intellect, and the soul fills with power.
So for you listening, you've now got the framework, the timing, the daily steps, a way to approach these practices not just as abstract beliefs, but as potentially measurable, deliberate neurospiritual engineering. But let's end on that big paradox we touched on earlier. A final thought to chew on.
Yeah.
The source material tells us the drama, the cosmic cycle, is deterministic. It repeats exactly who every 5,000 years. A closed loop.
Yes.
Yet, everything we've just discussed hinges on your effort, your willpower to remember, to maintain that satisfaction frequency, to purify yourself, and rewire your brain.
The entire path is based on that effort.
So here's the question. If every single scene, every action is already scripted in this eternal movie, is your act of making effort, of holding that high frequency, simply part of the pre-written script for your role in this cycle? Or does that very effort, paradoxically, represent the highest, perhaps the only form of freedom you actually have within this deterministic cosmic program?
That's the million-dollar question of the drama, isn't it?
Something to ponder, perhaps, next time you're tuning into those theta waves around 4 a.m. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into science and spirit. We'll see you